Right, are we ready to start? All right, ladies, gentlemen, traders, blockchain enthusiasts, crypto enthusiasts, stop buying cryptos and let's have a chat for a couple of days about cryptos. The next panel will start in 1 minute, guys. Right, okay, now that we're all here, we can start with the third panel of the day before the lunch break. You're gonna have a lunch break, don't worry. In about 45 minutes to 1 hour from now, we're all gonna go for a nice meal. Have you ever wondered how blockchain technology is radically transforming the world, guys? Well, wonder no more. We have with us today Vaida. Help me out with the surname again, please. Louder.
Shaltenite.
Vaida Shaltenite, everyone, head of partnerships at yourhodler.com. Vaida, the stage is yours. Good luck, guys.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the short break. And now we're going to be moving to our next panel about how blockchain is completely changing the world. Before that, I would like to ask questions. What is blockchain? How it is changing our everyday lives, what main impact it did to everything around us. And to answer these questions and many more, I have an amazing panel where my guests will be joining me to answer and discuss every single question. So without further ado, I will ask my guests to introduce themselves. Let's start with you, Andreas. Please, can you tell a bit about yourself and your background and about your connection to blockchain?
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me. I'm Andreas Livadiotis, the CEO of X Valley Technologies. We provide bespoke software for crypto trading exchanges. And my view on blockchain is a revolutionary invention by an anonymous guy, and I think it has allowed the idea, the freedom of people to transfer money, value, and make payments, and is changing the world as we know it.
Thank you, Andreas. Theo? Yes?
Hi, I'm Theo. I'm Managing Director at Cyprus Blockchain Technologies, which is like the first biggest think tank in Cyprus around blockchain technologies. And I'm also CEO at Electric Consulting, which is like a consulting agency focusing on blockchain, AI. And we have worked with many clients around the world, like European Central Bank, US Navy, MSC Ship Management, and all the big players that are interested to understand about blockchain technology. My involvement into blockchain comes naturally as I was at Cambridge University in mathematics, then at UCL PhD in cryptography, and I'm into the space since pretty much the invention of it. And I'm more focusing now, interested in privacy preserving technologies and new technologies from cryptography world that can be applied to add anonymity and privacy on the blockchain space.
Thank you, Thank you, Theo. Dimitris?
Hello, everyone. My name is Dimitris Neocleous. I'm an ecosystem manager of VeChain. My role in VeChain, which is the more greenest and user-friendly public blockchains in the world, is to help enterprises to understand what this blockchain is about, how we can use the blockchain into their day-to-day business, and what is the value deriving using the blockchain. So thank you for having me today.
Pleasure. Okay, so let's dive in. Before we talk about all the benefits and potential challenges and any questions about the blockchain, I would like to ask you, what is blockchain for you? What is your definition of blockchain? Andreas?
Very interesting question. Blockchain, it's a distributed ledger. It's a set of blocks that we all know. For Bitcoin, for example, every 10 minutes, a miner will verify with a hashing crypto algorithm and will hash a set of transactions. But in reality, in blockchain, it's more than that. It's a distributed ledger, which is the most important aspect. Blockchain is just the technology used from validating from 10,000 nodes currently for Bitcoin to validate the transactions. But the underlying idea is the distributed ledger, which is more important than blockchain itself. And in the future, I believe there will be more definitions of how to do a distributed ledger beyond blockchain.
Thank you. What about you, Theo?
Well, I can give two definitions. From like a strictly computer science point of view, blockchain is a block-to-block architecture, okay, where you have like transactions being calculated under a block, being verified, and appended to the next block. So it's just the data structure, the way you append on this data structure. From the way we perceive blockchain, it's about encoding a whole ecosystem to follow certain rules. So it's more about bringing stakeholders involved in like complex transactions on the same system where you can automate as much of this interaction you need. So it's about encoding a whole system. Okay, and there are many moving parts, data structure to define, consensus mechanisms to define, gossip protocols to define, many moving parts around this technology.
Thank you, Theo. Dimitris?
Well, that is a very interesting question where I get it a lot. And I'm going to use a very different approach about what is blockchain. So what is blockchain? Since nowadays we're hearing a lot about the metaverse, I'm going to discuss about the multiverse. So my example of blockchain is using the multiverse with different, one scenario in 3 different universes. The scenario of a boy saying, I love you to a girl. So the first universe is the central system universe where a boy says to a girl, I love you, and he says that all alone. So there is no endorsement, there is no validation, there is no verification of this statement. So at any time, the boy can withdraw from that statement, he can lie about that statement, and he can deny about that statement. And this is how a central system works. Now, the second universe is this universe of a central system with a backup, because the boy brings a friend as a witness to hear that statement of love to that girl, and he can verify that information. But at any point, if he wants to lie about it, he needs to convince his friend to lie with him about him. So this is a central system with a backup. Now, the third universe is where is the blockchain, is where the boy says that statement to the girl, and there are multiple participants, maybe unknown to each other, that listen to that statement. At any point that the boy wants to withdraw from the statement, these people, these witnesses are going to say, no, you have said this statement to that girl. And this is what is blockchain about, the integrity, the immutability, the security of the data.
Amazing explanation. How many times did you explain this already to people?
All the time, by the way, because
Nice.
this is how to explain the value of the blockchain.
Do they understand it actually easier than the technical part?
Well, most of the time they understand it, and if they don't understand it, I'm using real use cases. For example, this mask, you can scan it and you can see what this is about and how it's using the blockchain technology.
Amazing. I think we're going to get to that a bit later too. Thank you.
Thank you.
So without further actually stopping, because you mentioned of the mask and usage, my next question is about the adoption of blockchain. Where do you see different industries that it disrupted, that it made the biggest impact, and where do you see it moving even further? Let's continue, Dimitri, with you.
Well, the blockchain is not panacea for every industry, and that is something very important to understand. So we started as VeChain, starting using the blockchain, using our strategic partners in the supply chain, which was the easiest industry to understand where the blockchain value brings, what value the blockchain brings. And then now continue more into the sustainable development goals given by UN. Also have Antonio Sanatore, ex-global CTO for blockchain labs in Deloitte, joining VeChain for the development of these products for the sustainable development goals. And yeah, we are moving more and more into the industries that are going to benefit not only the linear economies, but also the sustainability.
Thank you. Andreas, you have something to add maybe?
Yes, blockchain has been used most widely for trading, payments, and all the financial operations, but it can it can advance in many other insurance, for example. You can do insurance certificates, insurance validation, have a history of each driver on the blockchain. You can have governments based on blockchain for faster service of the citizens. You can have a voting system that is based on blockchain. And we have said a lot of times that voting can be tampered or the manual way there can be mistakes. You can have a crowdfunding platform where you will be able to invest into projects using blockchain. You can have retail shops where instead of paying with a Visa, MasterCard or cash, you can go and pay with your crypto wallet. And of course, you can do real estate. You can sell properties with your wallet.
Thank you. I will move to Theo. Next question is for you. You, as a cryptography expert, I would like to ask, what are the next tools to preserving privacy and how blockchain helped cryptography to evolve?
Yeah, very good question. So cryptography, it's like a very old type of science based on mathematics and computer science. There were some long-standing open problems, and because it's the first time that cryptography is being used to invent the so-called private money, so there were lots of investments into the development of blockchain for specific use cases, and we've seen like an exponential growth in terms of publications, top research in cryptography, and application of cryptography in the last like just 5 years. Bitcoin, which appeared like a decade ago, it's based on 40 years of research in cryptography. The speed up in these last 5 to 10 years, it's amazing. We have very new technologies that can be implemented in practice, like zero-knowledge proofs, protocols that can be used in order to add privacy layers, but at the same time add verifiability layers on the blockchain. These are things that have not been tested before, and they've been tested in the last like 5 years, and it seems that they work. So we had like lots of advancements in the privacy preserving technologies, as I've mentioned, in the last like 5 years, pretty much. It was exponential.
And how do you see it moving into the future?
I see many stuff being on the blockchain, use cases that can be, I have just like a simple question asking my clients when they are interested in blockchain. Do you have multiple parties involved in like a certain scenario? If yes, then we can start coding through blockchain. Are these parties trusted? If yes, you don't need a public blockchain, you go private blockchain. If no, you use a public blockchain. So in order to understand what are the new use cases that you can add, it's all about based on how many stakeholders are involved into a system. And also I see the financial sector being pretty much transformed through also securitization now, because these privacy preserving technologies, they can actually allow people to buy securities in a privacy preserving way, but in a verifiable way as regulators need. We have this technology now, so I believe that in the next maybe 5 years, I'm going to be pessimistic, I think it's going to be earlier, all the financial sector will be mapped on the blockchain space.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, thank you. Dimitris, I would like to ask you about sustainability and how do you see it in combination with blockchain. So we know that blockchain technology got a little bit under scrutiny lately for being environmentally unfriendly and using a lot of electricity and so on. But can blockchain technology be the force also sustaining and also pushing sustainability and making more use in our lives?
Well, it depends also from which network or blockchain you're building on. For example, on VeChain, we are 100% friendlier, eco-friendly than Cardano.
So that's first, yes?
That's the first, yeah. So sorry for promoting VeChain, but when we're talking about sustainability or the preservation of our planet, I think we're going to start from VeChain. Also, our partners like DNV, PwC are investing a lot in our technology for these sustainability development goals. But also it's important that we need to understand that technology, especially blockchain, should be used for other reasons than finance. reasons who have noble obligation to use the technology. I'm a technophile. I believe that technology can solve a lot of problems in our planet. So about sustainability, I'm thinking about some use cases who have been built on VeChain. And an example is the sustainability fashion. In the past years, we know about the sustainability, the fashion through the linear economy. So the linear economy is based on the take, use, waste. Where in the sustainability and the circular economy, we have the 3 R's, where it's reuse, recycle, and reduce. So one use case that we're very proud to talk about is the H&M use case in China. How some of the clothes in H&M have been created by using the waste of clothes in order to have a second life of the product. So if we consider that the linear economy of fashion, the product has a single life, with sustainability fashion using the blockchain, and I'm going to come to why blockchain plays a role there, the product has a secondary life, maybe sometimes a third life, because we're reusing, we're recycling, and we're retaking the product. So where is blockchain on that? So when a customer of H&M buys the garment, he can see the QR code of my story. It was developed with DNV. DNV are expert in certification and accreditation for more than 150 years. They can scan the QR code and they can see the whole story about that product. That story was created using a recycle and waste clothes. And that is very important because the consumer engagement with the product is becoming stronger, but also the statement of a company about their sustainability goals and environmental friendly is very important nowadays. Or when I'm thinking about sustainability, we can also discuss about the BYD case in China. BYD is the second largest electric engineer manufacturer of cars, and it's about this use case is how the driver is becoming more eco-friendly using their cars, and then this information is validated on the blockchain, audited, and then be rewarded in carbon credits. And those carbon credits then can be used in different stakeholders, for example, shops, insurance companies, etc., etc. So you can see the value remaining in the ecosystem. That's why it's about circular economy.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's actually interesting to see how the small ecosystem emerges of the use of this single blockchain, and let's say the reuse of the product can be actually proven on blockchain. You can actually see if it really was recycled, if it really the emission was reduced, really how much the data of the supply chains, for instance, like Walmart, what we know, we can see how the supplies actually travel from the ground to the transportation, through the shelves. All the details are visible now. I know you have more comment on this.
Thank you for bringing Walmart as a use case. But yeah, we have been working with Walmart for the last 3 years in China, and the importance about the use case is we have been hearing a lot about KYC, knowing your customer, but nothing about KYP, the reverse way around. So it's important when a consumer buys a product to know the story about the product, where it is coming from, in which logistic company was used, in which temperature. And all this is using the blockchain technology along with IoT. It's important to say that the technology is not absolute. It should be complementary, using blockchain, using IoT, AI, in order to have the maximum efficiency about the use case. And in the Walmart, it's a B2B2C, which means that the Walmart is monitoring their suppliers about the quality of the product that they're buying from which supplier, and then incentivized to have the best quality. And everything that is then verified on the blockchain, and the consumer, when they buy the product, they can scan the QR code and find the whole story of the product, as you said, from the genesis part up on the shelf of the supermarket. And this is the Walmart case in China. And I think it's creating more transactions of industrial transactions in any blockchain in the world.
Yeah, that sounds great, amazing. So I would like the next question about the topic that most people have heard about blockchain, so they immediately think about cryptocurrencies. They're like, I think this is the first introduction of blockchain and cryptocurrencies for the main audience. What is your take about this duo, and what do you think how cryptocurrency is going to still continue being involved in blockchain, and maybe what are other uses, apart of cryptos, apart for financial part, but also another possibilities?
That is a very hard question, to be honest. Blockchain and cryptocurrencies, or blockchain currencies, they are together up to now. We know there is no utility of cryptocurrencies, blockchain currencies, or digital currencies without the blockchain. The blockchain will do the validation, will create the blocks, and if someone tries to hack it, which is extremely difficult but possible, the validation nodes will see that and will stop the attacking nodes from putting false transactions. Now, blockchain currencies or digital currencies up to now, they have been using the blockchain as the technology to keep their ledger, their distributed ledger, as we said before. But it's not impossible. Even some governments are thinking to issue a digital currency which will be based not on blockchain, but will have a different ledger. And I believe in the future there will be separation. Of course, blockchain and cryptocurrencies will be together, but there is also will be separation.
Sorry?
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely, please.
Yeah. Cryptocurrency comes from the words cryptography and currency, so you don't need to have hard feelings or something. It's not a bad word. Digital assets or cryptocurrencies are required pretty much to incentivize a whole system to run as it is expected to run. And this is their use, right? I have a trusted nodes that are expected to behave in a certain behavior. I map this behavior into a token, and I design a system this way. So the token is something to incentivize the stakeholders to keep things properly into the ecosystem. But yes, it requires also some type of regulations at some point in order to avoid the scams that you all have experienced, I guess, around 2017. But in general, it's not a bad word, right?
For us, no, because we know, right? But so the next question is actually from my side. We know blockchain is good and the technology is transforming the world. But there are, let's say, people who heard about the bad stuff from the media because, well, the bad stuff mainly catches the headlines. How can we spread the good word? How can we educate people better about the blockchain and its benefits?
May I? Yeah, it's for me, yeah. By creating real use cases, leveraging the blockchain technology that will have a real value. Back to the cryptocurrencies, I don't think that cryptocurrencies made the bad word about themselves and about the privacy, etc. When we had banks accepting money without asking questions, where you got the money and source of funds, then who is the actor here? Is the crypto or the bank? So for me, it starts from that person. But about how we change the attitude is by making simple use cases. I mean, why people are now into NFTs, for example, non-fungible tokens, is because it's easy to understand and it's beautiful to understand, right? For example, this T-shirt is an NFT. I bought the NFT from a designer, created the NFT, and I make it in a T-shirt. Fashion NFT, for example. It's easy to understand. So if we create simple use cases that people can understand, it's a start. I mean, when I enter into the blockchain sphere, I enter through cryptocurrencies. Every great love starts with a weird start, is what I'm saying. So I started by investing into cryptocurrencies, and then I fell in love with the smart contracts of Ethereum. And then I invested into VeChain, and now I'm employed by VeChain. This is how it goes. You need to find the right penetration moment of the market and to enter the market. So the simpler the use case, the easier people can understand, questioning and exploring the waters of blockchain.
Yes, true. It's a combination. It's a combination of simple steps of, if we're going to talk to people and overload with information, it will not take any good impression. I remember when I get into the crypto, it was so much information from all the sides. Just the learning curve was so steep that any second word you read is terminology you have to Google, you have to check. But if there are small use cases, like you say, oh, this is, by the way, blockchain, and this we can use, I think we can actually bring more people in and educate them better.
More use cases, but also another thing that I want to add on that is when I'm using the email, for example, I just press send and receive, right? I don't know the protocol that is built. So if we start discussing about the simplicity of the technology and providing the tools to build these use cases, for example, when I do an NFT on VeChain, I don't touch the crypto. I don't touch the smart contract. I just drag and drop. The same with the supply chain and the tool chain, which are our flagship product. It's easy to build a use case without touching the crypto, without touching the smart contract, in the easiest way and in the more green way that is possible.
True. However, now, let's say those fears of people, they come from something, and we had we have the fear of new. So blockchain is relatively new and a new technology. So it comes also with its own challenges. Theo, can you maybe have a couple of comments? What blockchain challenges face now, and how do you see them overcoming in the future?
First of all, if I may add to the first section of your question, if you go a long time back, few decades, people were against computers, against the internet, against everything. And when it becomes mainstream, they pretty much accept it. So when it will become a mainstream, when you have this called regression to the mean, when you are going to remove all the scam phase and you are going to have real use cases, real added value, this is the point where things will be accepted. Now, regarding challenges, with all the technologies, there are always challenges. Blockchain at the moment experiences exponential adoption, which technology has capabilities, so there are problems arising from the technological nature, from the algorithmic design nature, scalability stuff. Now they're talking about this environmental footprint, which is going to be solved anyway, even though it's not very important. And there are other challenges for educating people, for making people believing that this is a technology they can use. This will come through central banked, pretty much digital currencies, that it's not secret anymore. Everybody knows that there are countries that are experimenting with having their currencies. And when this will come into people's life, they will accept it. Challenges, many challenges. The previous panel was talking about security. I'm into security for many years. I cannot define security on blockchain. Many moving parts. Security in what sense? Like implementation, protocol design, network design, consensus design, game theoretic design. I mean, it's a monster. So security is going to be the biggest challenge for cryptography. And as security experts, cryptographers, we have to always run in order to make sure that nothing bad will happen. Okay? So it's a new technology. We are experimenting, many moving parts. And the biggest challenge will always be the security part.
Yes, and then previous panelists also were talking about quantum computing and being just at the very beginning at the moment, but it is coming. So how blockchain technology can prepare for this?
Yes, quantum computing, when, it's going to become not mainstream, but when the states will be in position to run quantum-based computations, there are certain bits that will have problem. This is not about blockchain only. It's about everything on the internet, everything based on a public key infrastructure that uses public key cryptography with the current key sizes, will be broken. Okay, so what's the problem? The problem is that we need to switch to new algorithms, especially in the PKI space, public key infrastructure, which we have NIST in USA. They already have some finalists that they can replace certain algorithms. We have many companies undergoing the so-called post-quantum readiness check, which means they have to make modular architectures so that they can isolate these problematic parts and replace them with new algorithms. So I don't see any problem on this. Hash functions being used for transparency cannot be broken. Okay, you can just increase the key size. So we have security at this point. So it's all about preparing your architecture to do this plug-and-play stuff, but not at the UI level, at the algorithmic level. Okay, and we are ready to do this when it happens. The problem that will remain, and I don't want to scare you, if a government pretty much taps and gets all your data now, let's say, your purchases at Amazon or whatever, when they are going to have quantum computing, they can just decrypt everything and see what you bought. I mean, that's straightforward, but from the future, we have means to protect this from happening.
Okay, so basically it's not really to breaking the technology, so to say, completely the faking, but it's rather exposing more of information.
Yes, I mean, if we stick to the traditional systems that we have with the traditional PKI and we have quantum algorithms, then they can pretty much decode information that has been produced during this old PKI-like era. Yeah, so this is the reality.
Okay, talking about the data and about the privacy and about, let's say, ownership of items. We cannot talk about blockchain and not mention NFTs. And again, one NFT example we have now sitting in the room. But on the other side, what are the possibilities even further? We know explosion of pictures of CryptoPunks, of other projects going now crazy on marketing hypes, on the actual value of the technology. I don't think is really exposed in these kind of projects. What do you see, let's say, actual uses for NFTs for the future, Dimitris?
Well, I need to admit something public today. Back in the days when they showed me NFTs, I said, okay, I don't understand it. I can right-click and save this JPEG. And then a friend of mine that we are together into investment into cryptocurrencies since forever, he told me, you invested into Bitcoin when it was thin air and everybody was telling you are crazy. And then I started digging more and reading more, thinking more, also use cases, also from my legal background because I used to be a lawyer. So the first use case of NFT, I think, imagine if we had NFTs back in the days about our data collection on Facebook. When Facebook released into Cambridge Analytica and they take advantage of our data without us knowing about it, that created a big scandal. So if we had the NFT, could create a protection. But also from Cyprus, a use case that we have of NFTs that nobody pay attention about it is a use case we have in Mediterranean Hospital in Areteo about the healthcare system when a doctor wants to access a medical record under the GHS, knowing the ID number, the date of birth, can access our medical record without the person knowing about it, without giving the consent or monetize from it. But we have built a use case with a strategic partner in Cyprus. It's the EHSERVed project, where the doctor requests the patient to view their medical record, and the patient can accept or not. And this relationship is underpinned on the blockchain. They can see this relationship. So we have also industrial and more enterprise NFTs. Also in San Marino, the COVID passport of San Marino for the green certificate is using the NFT technology.
Interesting. Okay.
I have also more if you want me to say. I mean,
yes, please.
What about the digitals? I mean, you can pre-order a physical item by purchasing the NFT, and then connect the digital item with the physical item. It's called phygital. So it's a new way of engaging the brand with the consumer. And it's fun. And then imagine you can take this digital item into metaverse and your behavior, your eco-friendly behavior in the real world, also the metaverse, incentivize. For example, you can win some tokens, and these tokens can be exchanged in the metaverse. The possibilities are tremendous. I mean, I can go all day talking about the possibilities of the technology and the NFTs.
Please.
If I may add on this, if we go now 10 years back, let's get the example of Facebook, Google. Let's get this Economist leaflet, data is the oil. Okay, data is not the oil, data is yours, and they sell it as oil, right? This is what the companies are doing in the world of like Web 2.0. Now with blockchain and the NFTs technology, okay, and I'm not just focusing NFT on the specific use cases, but NFT can cover data exchange, okay? So we are moving from data owning companies that they sell them for millions to a new economy that I can monetize my let's say my post, my pictures, whatever. So the next social media era will be based on blockchain technology. This is inevitable, right? And as Dimitris said, a token will be used in order to incentivize proper behavior. If I'm an influencer, I want to know how much money Instagram makes out of me, and I want to get them. So this can be enabled through smart contract technology and through blockchain environments.
I have a question to the audience. How many of you actually own an NFT now? Nice. How many of you thinking of buying an NFT? Yay! Nice. Andreas, you have any comments maybe on NFTs too? No. Okay.
May I send to everyone an NFT? Find me. Let's create an NFT. I can show you how you can create an NFT. I can transfer it for free to you using the VeChain blockchain, and you can also build your NFT using our technology. It's so easy, as I said, it's plug and play. You don't touch the smart contract, you don't touch the crypto, it's totally free. So please find me later on how to build NFTs. And everybody here, if you want to have an NFT, let's create an NFT from the event, and we'll send it to you.
That was part of mass adoption. Thank you, Dimitris. I want one NFT too, of course. I have another question. What are the best use cases of blockchain you've seen so far? It not necessarily have to be your project, but let's say most of any cases that you've seen on the internet. I'm sure you've been exposed way more to these things than our audiences. So what would you say made the most impression of you?
Well, before I jump to business use cases, I mean, even the fact that owning crypto, you are becoming your own bank, it's something very important. I mean, in 2014, when I first invested into cryptocurrencies, I invested for a reason. The reason was I didn't like what happened in Cyprus with the bailout and the haircuts. Yeah, I saw my family, I saw my grandparents losing their money. So the use case becoming your own bank, it's very important. So, I mean, we cannot ignore these use cases that came with cryptocurrencies. And then, as the technology evolves and we saw the smart contracts, we have also other business use cases. I mean, one of the use cases that I fell in love with, and it was from DNV, and DNV is a strategic partner of VeChain, is the My Story for Wines. Because for first time in history, a bottle of wine is more than just a bottle of wine. It's very similar use case to Walmart, but with about wine. On top of it, we have the auditing of the information before reaching the blockchain, because anyone can write anything on the blockchain and it can be a lie. So imagine that you can audit that information before it reaches the blockchain, and that creates even more transparency and trust. I cannot say it's bulletproof, because in order to reach that level of bulletproof, we will need to explore the potential of combining the technologies of blockchain and IoT.
And I remember, yes, we were thinking also the truth of facts that go on blockchain to verify that we know that what's on blockchain stays on blockchain, but how we know that what went on blockchain is true.
Exactly. That's why nowadays we're using auditors of business assurance. Also, Grant Thornton, I see here Alexis, they're building a very interesting case how you can know that the information goes on the blockchain is valid one. DNV, as I mentioned, PwC are exploring these waters. And in the future, those companies are going to have also their automated validators and auditors will be machines. So we can see that it's evolving. It's going to be there. So yeah, the validity of the data should also be audited, I think, in order to create even more value when it goes on the blockchain.
It's the same as the internet anyway. I mean, you have like this green key lock. When you go and do some transactions, you know that this entity owns this key, which can be used to wrap your transactions and crypto transactions. And there are certificate authorities that have pretty much audited these people, and they prove they own this key. This is the same in like in the blockchain space. You can have nodes. They can prove through digital signing they own a key, and this key can be used in order to validate that data are correctly, pretty much signed correctly. Okay, so this is the technology.
I see the mask that we mentioned at the beginning of the panel. Can you tell a little bit more what is it and why it's here on this panel?
Well, this mask actually is made from Sarah Regensberger. Sarah Regensberger is a vegan designer, which means that she uses materials that are friendly to the environment and zero animal cruel. And it's important because it was, for me, the first project I used for, I work for, Sarah Regensberger. And when you scan this mask, there is an NFC chip because we discuss about IoT. So when you scan it, you can see the whole story of the mask or some information about the mask that Sarah Regensberger wanted to share with her clients. So we see the shift of consumer engagement with the brand using the technology. It might be NFTs, it might be NFC chips, which is the near frequency. When you scan, you can see the product. It can be QR code, depending what you want to achieve. So that's why this mask is sitting here to show that blockchain is more than just smart contracts, it's more than just crypto. It's actually happening, and maybe sometimes we don't even know that it's happening. It's as I said with the email, you send and receive and you don't know the protocol that is being used. So we're there, we're in the adoption stage.
Amazing, thank you. Do we have any questions?
Thank you.
Yes,
Right,
I need help.
All right, questions. Raise your hands. Where am I going? There, all right. I want to lose weight here today, guys. There we go.
Hi everybody, Nicolas here from PwC Cyprus, and I need to say first that this was a very interesting panel. So me personally, I find projects like AirTrace or the Walmart case that you just mentioned really exciting, of course. And the reason why I do is because this kind of projects enhance the trust between market participants. And I'm not sure if we are able to recognize the value of that or if we are able to understand the value of that, but it is huge because it's one thing to know that you have an approved supplier, and it is another thing to know the exact process that the supplier is following, from manufacturing a good to distributing the good to getting it to your end consumer. So this is a very important project. So my question here is, and I understand all of this, but what are the ways forward now? Is it just a matter of time until this whole blockchain excitement becomes the new norm? Or are there any steps that we need to take before that? Thank you.
To who is the question? Who you want to ask? Anyone?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, good question. Applies to pretty much all technologies. There is something called Gartner's hype cycle. Okay, if you search of it, you are going to see something like this. Okay, so new technology, people make money, they like make money, so they invest into it, they speak about it. So you have this like stealth phase where everybody's talking about it. Definitely, blockchain is not God. They cannot solve all the problems, right? So some of them will be phased out at some point, and you are going to have regression to the mean, where you are going to have the real use cases. But this experimentation is very good. It's good to have volume of people experimenting, trying new things, because you will pretty much initiate like the universe so that this small probability of the next Amazon, of the next Facebook or whatever will come out of these many trials. Okay, so it's Gartner hype cycle, pretty much the psychological cycle people follow with new technologies.
Next question.
There we go.
I have two questions. My first is about VeChain, especially because it's one of my favorite projects, VeChain. What I want is if you can give me some explanations, if I'm correct, about the IoT devices transaction system that I believe you are trying to build as a company, as a VeChain. And also, I heard about the ISO launchpad that might be have in VeChain that is in initial coin offerings. I don't know if I'm correct about this, but if we can get some more information about that subject.
I'm going to start from the second question, which is very common question because many people are associating VeChain with supply chain projects. I'm going to say this. VeChain is a smart contract platform. Anything that is built on Ethereum can be built on VeChain faster, cheaper, and greener. Because we are using the Ethereum virtual machine, we are using Solidity, we are using Python. So anything built on Ethereum can be built also on VeChain. The reason why there is this misunderstanding and misconception about the use case from the use case of supply chain is because our strategic partners that use our technology, they prefer to start from supply chain. So if you want to do an ICO, you can do it the same way you can do it on Ethereum. The technology is there, it's public chain, you can see the code on the GitHub. Now, when it comes to the other question about the IoT, if I remember correct, you mentioned? Yeah. The Internet of Things, in VeChain we have the toolchain. The toolchain is a SaaS solution, which means that you develop a project without even touching the crypto, without touching the smart contract. And on top of it, we have plenty amount of different IoT solutions from RFID, near frequency chips, passive temperature sensors that can be used depending on the use case you want to achieve. For example, when we're using this NFC chip inside here is washable. When I'm going to use an NFC chip on the wine for anti-counterfeiting, I'm going to use a sticker. So when a sticker, when I open a bottle of wine, it's going to break. So if I try to scan it, I can see that it has been changed, the information, so I cannot trust that the bottle of wine is the original bottle of wine I was buying. So we have different IoT solutions.
Next one.
My second question is about if you can give a roadmap or steps that new blockchain developers, both in the management department and the technical programming department, to do in order to start their career in blockchain or their own crypto project. Sorry.
The question is for me, I guess? Okay. Our roadmap is extensive. We're trying to have more and more builders in our blockchain. We're trying to minimize lower the barrier of entry using, for example, recently we launched the Python coding on VeChain blockchain. We have also the grant program. We have launched, I think, $1 million USD funding for new developers to come and build on VeChain. So it's ongoing. There is no roadmap, definite roadmap. It's ongoing. We are following the trend. We are trying to be agile, and this is all about. I mean, we need to be agile when it comes to technology. Otherwise, we're going to become like a big company that is not moving.
Okay, answered. Happy with the answers? Okay, so next question.
There you go.
Hi, Panis Bukeri, startup journalist. Okay, well, blockchain is a revolution. Do you think, I want your opinion, if Cyprus is doing enough to get ahead in this blockchain, let's say, revolution? All of you.
Well, Cyprus is working on it, I will say. We are not ahead like other countries, but we are working on it.
In regards to like private sector, you see, I mean, people have some meetups, so we have like people representing different like blockchains, like Dimitris on the VeChain. So the ecosystem is not mature, it's fine. From the public sector, there are no initiatives so far, but they are working on it. I guess there is like a crypto bill, there are regulations. They are trying hard to help Cyprus, I don't know, innovate more on the blockchain space. But unfortunately, technology, I mean, it's not something that you can wait 10 years. It's over. Then you have to jump to the next one. Yeah, in general, I guess we have like a medium maturity level in Cyprus about blockchain space. We are not very low, not very high. Yeah.
Well, we have two gears. The first gear is the private gear, and the second gear is the public gear. The private gear, I mean, talking from the VeChain ecosystem, we have Grant Thornton Cyprus, is moving fast on building use cases on the blockchain sphere. We have PwC doing the same thing. So we are going to see many use cases from the private sector in Cyprus. Also, the hospitals in Cyprus is something very big. I mean, and I'm surprised that we haven't been contacted by the GHS. When it comes to the public sector, well, bureaucracy was always the evil when it comes to technology advancement. With the new Ministry of Innovation, leading by Mr. Kokinos, I think we're going to see more and more use cases. And yeah, I'm hopeful. Hope is what's driving us, isn't it?
And if I may add, we are in a blockchain event in Cyprus with European experts flown all over the Europe. So I think this is a good steps forward. Next questions?
There we go.
Hi, my name is Nicholas Sandstrom. I'm the CEO of Hilbert Group. Hilbert Group is a public company, public investment company listed on Nasdaq First North in Stockholm. And we are running an asset management business, and we're trading VeChain on a daily basis. And I'm wondering, Dimitris, what do you see as the key focus over the next year for VeChain in terms of projects that you're running internally?
Well, as a VeChain tech company, our focus, I think, in the next years is going to be more the sustainability development goals projects with more circular economy models, more sustainability projects, but also we are also on the food and beverage industry about food safety, especially when it comes through our strategic partners network. I think we're going to see more and more projects on that. Also, from the community perspective, I see a lot of growth of the NFTs. The projects we're going to see are growing exponential. For example, last night I was contacted by a project, it's called Metaversarials. They're going to connect the NFT with the VAR. So unbelievable, the possibilities of the technology, not just on VeChain, but in the whole blockchain sphere. I don't want to be promoting only VeChain. I see the technology as a whole. So thank you for this question. Really appreciate it, Nicholas.
Thanks.
Next question.
Next question, there we go.
Hello, my name is also Nicholas, and my question would be, for somebody who has not had so much experience in technology, in blockchain technology, what is the easiest way to invest in this technology? Thank you.
Invest by building. My background is legal. I am zero technology. Actually, I used to be zero technology. And how you start building is by start reading, and you are more than free to discuss later how you can use toolchain, because toolchain is building without really touching the smart contract, without touching the coding. So building is important. And then you can build use cases. For example, this use case of the NFT T-shirt. I saw the NFT. I bought the NFT. Then I printed it on the T-shirt. I minted it also as a transaction ID, so it has a unique ID on the blockchain. So it's just by exploring and by building without fearing. And we're also providing a sandbox environment, so you're not going to lose any crypto, let's say, or so. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Further question? Anyone else? Yes, at the back.
There we go.
Hi, my name is Henry, and I'm a very early investor in VeChain. I think it's amazing. I have two questions, actually. One, I've been hearing rumors that there's going to be like integration with the Amazon because of the supply chain management theorem, and is that true? Do you know?
No comment on that, but I mean, it can be connected not just in Amazon, it can be connected in any supply chain, in any e-commerce. So the technology is there, the use case is there. We're ready not just for Amazon, but for any e-commerce marketplace that is leveraging the internet, because blockchain is the next internet.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, and second question, does the protocol, is there any integration between the layer 1 Ethereum and then it's your own build? You know what I mean? Like if I want to build an NFT on a VeChain platform, what are the smart contract nodes taken from?
Actually, we're a hard fork of Ethereum, so we're running our own public blockchain, the VeChain blockchain. But this question about NFTs, I can share something in public now because a lot of communities say, share something new that you can share. We have a project that they're building the physical provenance of the item on VeChain, part of the NFT also on the VeChain, and then the bidding auction is on Ethereum. So we can see also interoperability of the two blockchains on their best practices because Ethereum is the first mover of NFTs, and I think we're the best when it comes to the business use case as an example of supply chain and provenance.
So when it comes to gas fees on Ethereum, if you were to auction, are gas fees involved, or is it already bridged?
It's not yet bridged. The technology is there with atomic swaps. We have a project that is doing atomic swaps, Safe Haven. So I think in the future we're going to see the bridging of the fees. But I would suggest that if you want to avoid high fees, why not build fully on VeChain?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm an early Solana investor for NFTs, and like I built there as well. So that's why I'm asking these questions to see how I can move to VeChain, for example, if need be. You know.
It's very easy because, as I said, we're using the Ethereum virtual machine. As you build on Ethereum, you build the same way on VeChain. I think even
so the code
faster
is still
and easier.
The code is still Solidity, the same node, same. Okay.
So Solidity again, also Python. And if you don't want to use at all the coding, there are also the tools that you can drag and drop. You don't touch the crypto. For example, we have the fee delegation protocol, which means that you can have a blockchain solution without touching the crypto.
Yeah, so I don't touch the crypto or the smart contracts. It's already being built as I want it.
Exactly. Okay. It's on our back end. This is how we achieve mass adoption and mainstream.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. I see VeChain is completely stealing the show. Any other questions?
There we go.
Thank you, sir. Alexis Nicolaou, Block.co and Grant Thornton. How far do you think we are from achieving interoperability between blockchains? Theo.
Well, I mean, I don't think we are that too far. There are middle layers that you can use to move from one layer to the other. If you are talking about interoperability in general, about all the systems being integrated together, since we know it's a problem, we are not that far. It's going to be solved. We have some networks that have already been distinguished from the others. I mean, you have the Ethereum network, you have the Solana, you have the Polkadot, you have the VeChain. So it's all about understanding which are going to be the finalists, and then start looking how to write middle layers to jump from one to another. And it's good to have many blockchains, right? I mean, this is the whole purpose, rather than having everything running on one system.
Thank you. Do we have any time for any other question?
Anyone?
I think we're good.
We're good?
I have a question.
You have a question, yes.
Can I say hi to my sister? Hi, sis.
Nice. Always important.
Done? All right, this was it. Guys, I must tell you, if when I came here today, I was hating NFTs, now I hate them even more because I don't get them. We had a great panel, guys, and I think if we could, we would make this panel last for 24 hours. But I promised you that if you behave and you're good, you're going to go to lunch. So let's thank our moderators. We're going to start with Vaida. Thank you ever so much for the panel.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Andreas Livadiotis.
Thank you.
Theodosis Mouzouris. And the last but not the least, Dimitris Neocleous. 1 hour lunch break, and when you come back from lunch break, I'm going to have a surprise for you. Is that a deal? Like, share, subscribe. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Download the app. That was it. NFTs are bursting in our lives. That is the first panel of the day. And I have the great pleasure to introduce the moderator of the panel, Ian Robert Schutte, CEO and co-founder at Crypto Academy Netherlands. Let's give him a round of applause, everyone. Let's wake up. Ian, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Testing 1, 2. Welcome, everyone. Also, the online audience, welcome to this panel discussion. I hope that you have had a very great night yesterday and that you could do some business also yesterday, that you could take very much content to improve your life. And I would like to introduce first 4 panelists today. And the first one is Maria Xenofontos. She is founder at Femic.io. She's an influencer and role model for many girls and women. On Instagram, she has more than 29,000 followers. Please give her applause. Thank you. So next, I would like to invite on stage the NFT expert, Dimitris Neocleous, ecosystem manager at VeChain Tech. Welcome. And subsequently, I would like to invite on stage Vasilis Karalambous. He is head of GTZ Tech, and he is tech lawyer. Welcome. Applause. And of course, last but not least, I would like to ask George Sebastião to join us. And George is CEO at global blockchain organization CBO Simba Storage. I've met him actually the first time a couple of months ago in Dubai, and he was a very great speaker. And yeah, it's very great. And before we start, I would like to give a short word to Dimitris for a picture.
Since we're starting the day with NFTs, let's take a picture. Maria, I will need your talent with Instagram and selfies. You can take a selfie of the panel along with Jean. Jean, you need also to be in the picture. No, with us. It's a selfie. Come on this side to take a selfie. And this selfie is going to become an NFT right after the panel, and I'm going to upload it on Twitter. And you're going to see how easy it is to do it. We don't touch the crypto. We don't touch anything on the smart contract. Seamless experience, drag and drop on the World of V community marketplace built on VeChain or blockchain. Okay.
So this is what I like. I'm a trader myself. I'm very practical. And this is very practical. And we will show the result later on. NFTs, who is involved already with NFT market? Just a few. Maybe it's a good point to hook up with, well, in a good way, concerning NFTs. George, could you maybe do a short introduction about NFTs?
Okay, my name is George Sebastião. It's a pleasure to be here. I live somewhere between Dubai, Bahrain, and Cyprus. I've been in Cyprus, I guess, for about a little bit 15 years. And I've been introduced to the blockchain space a little bit over 7 years ago. And background is IT for 35 and 20 for cybersecurity. More specifically, NFTs got born into the space of blockchain with Ethereum, and the first set of NFTs started appearing somewhere between 4 to 5 years ago. Maybe many of you have been in the gaming industry, so maybe probably you heard about something called Crypto Kitties, which was kind of a DNA experiment that kind of brought down the Ethereum blockchain a few times because it was not designed to have the capacity to handle so much volumes and increase the gas fees quite substantially. But the interesting aspect about NFTs is as follows. First, when you have a crypto or digital currency, they're called fungible tokens. So that really means if you have one Bitcoin or another Bitcoin, both are exactly the same. They have the same value, and they're actually indistinguishable other than the fact that they can be traded in small segments. So when we created fungible tokens, that means one token is very different than the other. So it has different properties. It has also different value. So that really means when the NFTs got created, NFTs allowed you to create a completely different set of value, a value associated with an identity. Now, NFTs has many uses. Some of them are not monetary in value. One example would be something like university degree. So if you have a university degree, there's a lot of fake degrees out there. What an NFT allows you to do is to ensure that that is the real university degree and not a fake one. There's other industries that can benefit from NFTs a lot. Example would be transportation, airline industries. In airline industry, we have things like fake parts. Would you like to fly in an airplane with a fake part? Probably not, because you're at 30,000 feet and it's the wrong piece. You know, it's not the time to do spares, changes. So NFTs have a very big role to play in authentic parts, whether it happens to be in brakes of very fast cars or airplanes or other valuable items. They can also be used in things like luxury goods. If you have a Gucci bag, if you have a Rolex watch, it will enable you to identify that this is the real deal and not a fake one. So this is one side of NFTs that is associated with identity. The next part of NFTs is the most exciting part. And there's the fact that NFTs can be used and combined with people that actually create content. We have a lot of people here in the audience that create content, some of them in this panel. So whether you create books, whether you create audio, video, you're a singer, you're an artist, a painter, NFTs allow you to now have direct control over that content. So that really means when you create, for example, a YouTube video, Instagram post, or others, NFTs will enable you to actually identify this is your content. But that's only step number one. Step number two, it will enable you to monetize that content directly. So that really means every time that content will get played or every time that content get bought or sold, because of the presence of something we call in blockchain a smart contract, the original content creator can put in it some returns associated with. So for example, you can make something like 5% every time that NFT get bought or sold. That really means it comes directly to your wallet without any intermediaries. So this is a dramatic change in how we're building relationships between communities and between artists. But artists can be other people. Can be, for example, Formula One drivers, can be football players or cricket players. Both of them are very massive communities. This is just to give you a little bit of an idea. But things are moving forward at a very fast pace. A company recently changed its name. Anybody here remembers? Called Meta now. So that really means everybody's moving to this multiverse, or sometimes I call it multiverse world, meaning between the realistic world and a digital twin of that world. And guess what? NFTs will play a very important role in that new world, both as identifiers, as IDs, as well as the capability actually to monetize the content that will be displayed or used in that world. There's still a lot of work ahead. We have to create applications that every time they get used, they'll be able to be monetized. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. So I don't want to...
Thank you. I
Thank you.
think this is a very nice brief overview of the NFTs. And well, talking about fashion is a small bridge to go to Maria. How did you get involved in the crypto space and in generally speaking, but also in the NFT market?
Yes. So I started with an ICO. Back in 2017, I was hearing a lot about Bitcoin, and I got really interested by the freedom Bitcoin gives, right? And so basically it starts like that. I got hired on Monday, and on Wednesday I flew to Tokyo with a company to take care of their event, blockchain event in Tokyo. And I got really fascinated by the technology, and I didn't know anything back then. You know, I was like, oh wow, I felt like I'm in the future. And when I came back from this trip, I started learning about blockchain and the Ethereum, and at the beginning it was a bit difficult for me because I wasn't a technical person, right? But I insisted. I read it again and again and again until I get it, and I'm here today. I worked for really good companies before, and with NFTs, I was in Certic, one of the leading cybersecurity companies in the world, and basically I had this colleague that I was creating content for Twitter, and we were brainstorming, and he told me about CryptoKitties and CryptoPunk, and I was interested to see what they are, and this guy was a musician before he became a crypto writer, and it was really important for him and his work for NFTs, so I started Googling it and learning more about it. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And me as a trader or dire trader, I like to have things tangible. What can I do with it? I mean, when you buy or sell cryptos, it's very easy, buy and sell. But NFTs is a little bit fake for me, and maybe it's also good to give some use cases. And maybe Dimitri, do you know? Can you give some examples of use cases?
Yeah, I want to start from something that Jorge said earlier about parts of airplanes, etc. In VeChain, we have been doing this provenance of physical parts with associated virtual ID that is immutable on blockchain since our beginning of our business with BMW, Givenchy. But the NFT hype and FOMO started literally from people like CryptoKitties and other projects and people that are artists that brought their physical items into the digital art. Nevertheless, in Cyprus, for example, we have a very interesting use case of NFT, which we didn't really even advertise it because we see the value from the business and we don't like to advertise. But thank you for bringing this question. Is the use case we have in the hospitals. So in the Mediterranean Hospital of Cyprus and Areteo Hospital, the two biggest hospitals of GHS, and it's about the ownership of the medical data. So in Cyprus, nowadays and back in the days, you could, a doctor, a medical practitioner could access your medical records if he had your date of birth, your name, and your ID. It's very easy to get it because it's registered on the hospital premises. So he can access my medical record without asking me, without even knowing that he accessed my medical record. But with the hospitals, the two hospitals I referred earlier, we built an application, the Electronic Health Certificate app. So a doctor can request access to this medical record, and it's on the patient discretion to give the permission or not. And this relationship then is underpinned on the transaction ID, which therefore are NFT. So you can understand that NFTs have tremendous possibilities of exploration and usabilities.
Okay, and how about the gaming industry? I'm not a gamer myself, but I see the children of my girlfriend playing always, and I think it's a waste of time, but I think, how can you monetize it? And then I saw also the use case with NFTs monetizing in-game items, and that is very cool because gaming is a multi-billion dollar business. And maybe, I don't know too much about gaming, but maybe someone of you?
Yeah, actually most people should realize that the Bitcoin world actually started in the gaming industry. Many of you probably heard about something called the Mt. Gox hack, where a lot of Bitcoins got hacked. Mt. Gox from Japan, started by a French national, was actually exchange. And in that exchange, what people were trading, when the Bitcoin was only a few pennies at the time, they were trading things they win in gaming. So what do you win in gaming? You play games for hours, so you win either positions in a game or you win special powers or swords. But if you play a lot of hours, you want to be able to monetize that. So use these exchanges to buy and trade these pieces. That brings us to another point. You can say last year was the year of DeFi, this year is probably the year of NFTs, but you should start researching the next step, which is something called gamify. So look at something called gamify. So this is a technology that actually combines four important elements together. One is DeFi, one is NFT, the other one is metaverse, all together, and gaming. So that really means gaming is an extremely important element as we move forward. So if you want to invest in the next unicorn, look up for the gamify applications that are leading the change as we move forward.
Actually, if we have some games already today. It's Axie Infinity, Decentraland, the Sandbox. They're really famous blockchain projects, gamifying the whole experience, and with NFTs. Actually, in Decentraland has been the place for some years now, and you were able to buy some land through the game. And actually, a week ago, if I'm not mistaken, a plot of land was sold for some millions. In that game, actually, it was 2 millions in the Decentraland. And also, another game is trying to gamify the ownership of land. It's not the blockchain space right now, but I think it's going there. It's called Earth 2, where you can buy any plot of land, actual plot of land, like in Google Earth. They separated all the lands in tiles, and you can buy a tile like for a specific amount of money. and then you will be able to sell that to other buyers. And I think so. I think that this is going to NFTs at some point. And this is what is happening to the sandbox, actually, at the time.
Actually, there is 2 embassies out there that actually have their embassies in the virtual world. So that's the question. Which ones? The first one is one that company that is kind of a mini micronation called Liberland. And the more recent one is Barbados, which recently just announced their big anniversary, and they're splitting from the Queen. So they decided to go also have a virtual embassy in the metaverse as well.
Vasilis, I got a question concerning legal issues. You're a tech lawyer. Did you get involved as a tech lawyer non-crypto, or were you directly?
Actually, I'm in crypto. I'm doing mainly in emerging technologies like blockchain, cryptocurrencies, artificial intelligence as a lawyer. So we can see where this thing is going, and specifically due to the pandemic, many aspects of our life became digital a lot earlier than it was expected. And as with traditional forms of creating content, like drawing an image or taking a photo or uploading something online, we need to have in mind existing regulations like the intellectual property laws, where we know that the creators of content have specific rights, like the right to distribute and the right to exclusive right to reproduction and making something available publicly. So before we upload something online, we need to have in mind that we need to have the prior consent and approval of the creator. And this also applies to the world of NFTs, where you need to have the prior approval of the creator before minting something as an NFT. In case you don't have this approval or consent of the creator, you are risking this to be considered as an infringement. And then we need to see how we're going to deal with this infringement in the decentralized world, in the world of blockchain. And I can see 2 situations arising there. We know that we have the underlying asset, which is in the first situation, it might be stored in a centralized server. And this is the easiest situation, where you can request from the server owner for the asset to be deleted. And this way, you are deleting the link between the smart contract and the actual underlying asset, even if this is an image, audio, or a video or something else. And the second situation we have here is more complicated. If the underlying asset is stored on a decentralized server, where this is going to be more difficult to delete the asset if we are dealing with an infringement. And theoretically, we're going to need like a hard fork or burn the tokens in order to disassociate the asset from the NFT smart contract. And the only thing left, if you have an infringement, is to file a case to the court and request for damages, because rectification will not be an available route. So this is the first thing we need to have in mind: intellectual property laws, existing intellectual property laws are in place. And the second one, we have to be cautious with personal data. Personal data laws exist all over the world, and specifically in Europe, we have General Data Protection Regulation, which provides for the protection of personal data that identifies physical subjects, the data subjects. We need to be really cautious not to mint as an NFTs or upload in the web any material, any content that infringes their personal data. So yes, there are some legal aspects that we need to have in mind that are already existing. We don't need to wait for new regulations that are going to eventually come up.
Okay, and everyone can mint an NFT, if I understood. And the thing is there any requirement of licensing or these kind of things, or how does it work?
Yeah, actually, currently there are no requirements in order to mint an NFT. You just need to follow the rules of the respective marketplaces, even if this is OpenSea, even if this is VeChain, World of Art, or Rarible or other marketplaces. We need to follow the rules. Some marketplaces today have some KYC that you need to pass in order to mint your NFT, but most of them, they don't have any KYC procedures in place. We need to know that there is no national, European, or international regulation now governing NFTs, but we can see it coming. And I would suggest to anyone that wants to create such a marketplace that people will be able to create NFTs to self-regulate, just as the existing cryptocurrency exchanges are doing today.
Okay, let's get this one step back. Is that, okay, if you want to enter the NFT market as a user, what is, in your opinion, in general question, what is the first step to take to be in the game? Where do you have to go to? Which platform? What do you have to do? How? How to start?
Well, it depends what you want to be. If you want to be the NFT creator, you need to have the tools that allow you to create the NFTs and allow you to mint the NFTs and allow you to list the NFTs in a platform. If you're an NFT investor, then the objective is a bit different. So each one has got different challenges. So if we look, let's say first at the creator, there's some challenges that exist today when you're creating NFTs. One example is gas fees. So if you're creating a large quantity of NFTs and you're using a platform where the gas fees are $50 or $100 per transaction, you have to factor that in or find blockchains that have either low or no cost fees associated with it. Another important element when you're the creator is also in many blockchains today, the NFT is not part of the blockchain. What does that really mean? The digital part of the NFT. So that means you have the NFT identifier and a link to where the NFT is, but the image or the video or the blob that makes the NFT in many times is actually not stored in that blockchain. That creates a bit of a disconnect. How do you know it's still really where it should be? In more modern blockchains, the NFT is part of this decentralized storage. So the blockchain actually accommodates the content storage of that NFT. So this is extremely important. On the other side now, if we're talking about the investor is interested in looking at things from different perspectives. One is long-term storage of these NFTs. Other things are trading of these NFTs, so that means access to proper liquidity. And there's some tricks for that. I invite you to look at a topic called flash loans. So if you don't have the money, don't worry, you can borrow it almost instantly, so you can easily have access to multi-million-dollar NFTs. The only thing you need to do is have a buyer for the NFT that you're selling. The last item that I wanted to also mention that is extremely important, if you're a big collector, and this is not just about NFTs, it's also about Bitcoins and other valuable assets, you need to have a proper strategy for what I call cold storage. As you know, when we have, everything is stored in wallets, so there's different types of wallets. There's wallets we call hot wallets, warm wallets, cold wallets, and what we call deep frozen wallets. So if you have things that are worth millions of dollars and you want those $millions not to disappear, you better have a strategy on how to handle that properly, because if you lose passwords, if you lose the signature or recovery keys, those valuables are gone forever. So you need to have the proper way to address these issues.
Jean,
yes.
I want to add something there, yeah? Because your question was how to start, from where to start. Well, we have Ethereum MetaMask, where it's for OpenSea, one of the most famous marketplace. We have Rarible, we have Binance Chain marketplace, we have Crypto.com marketplace. We have Cardano, we have Solana that you can create your NFT. But in VeChain, because Jorge mentioned about the fees, yeah? The fees are, I think, we're the most cheap platform to mint an NFT. We're the most green platform to mint an NFT. We're 100% greener than Cardano, for example. I want to emphasize about the green footprint, because it's very important nowadays when we do business to think also about the environment. But other than that, about the gas, it's also about the seamless experience. In VeChain, most of our marketplaces, VMworld, VC, World of V, are using the fee delegation. And the fee delegation is about using a blockchain, having an experience on the blockchain without touching the crypto. So you can create a profile. Either you are a collector, either you are a creator, seamless, like drag and drop, like you do in ordinary websites. And you can buy like you do in ordinary websites. You don't touch the crypto. And this is why it's important to have these services. These services should give the seamless experience. Otherwise, mass adoption will never occur in NFTs or even into the crypto. It's about the user experience.
Yeah, I know that NFTs in the DeFi space are very booming, and every project or every centralized exchange or decentralized exchange like PancakeSwap, they have an NFT place. As a trader or investor, what are the things I have to take a look at for security reasons? Is it a scam or not? If you trade or buy this NFT, will it not be? Will it be in the wallet next day or not? So, what are the things to take a look at if you are entering a marketplace for NFTs?
Community.
Yes.
Utility. What else?
You need to see that the marketplace it's evolved and it's developed, and it's not like a scam place where you're gonna buy something which it might not even be an NFT. Okay, first of all, and then you need to take care of your wallet, because I'm hearing for my clients a lot of instances of hacking, even MetaMask wallets, because we may say that blockchain is not hackable, but there are also things that you need to have in mind, like in the internet, they might present you like a fake website where you click on it and then they take all your coins. It's like phishing. Phishing exists, so you need to be careful, even if you are dealing with the blockchain space and Web3 applications. So there are existing threats that we need to be aware of.
But how you can be careful to educate yourself. So you have to learn about the industry. Then you understand what is scam in this industry, because if you're just starting, you can't just throw yourself there, right? You have to start understanding, and then when you have education, you can understand the scams.
You need to lose in order to learn. It's like the crypto back in the days.
But lose small.
Depends.
Don't bet big.
Yeah.
Just bet small, and if you have more experience, then you can bet bigger, I think.
It's like back in the days with the crypto. How can you know that this cryptocurrency is going to be successful? The same question goes now to NFT. How can you know that this NFT is going to be a successful one? You don't. You learn by experience. But it's important when you look either to crypto or to NFT, who is behind it? What is the utility, as Maria said? Who is the creator? I mean, when I say Dogecoin, yeah, infinite supply, no technology behind it, but because Elon Musk is tweeting about it and is booming the price, come on, guys, think bigger, think behind the scenes, read.
Okay, maybe there are also some other questions from the audience, so we're happy to take some questions for the panelists. So if there are any questions, feel free to raise your hands. In the middle, please, Andrew. I don't know if I will take notice. So if someone can hand over the microphone, then I'm happy to do that. Do it myself. Always do it yourself. Sorry. Moderator and mic runner in the same time.
At the beginning to say that there are many use cases for NFT also. For example, take a Sandbox, which is one of my favorite investments actually. Buying land in Sandbox and creating content in that land can earn you income, because the more users that use your content, that gives you more income. Also, many companies already bought land, like Atari, who's making a good comeback in our lives. Also about NFTs, before I ask my question, most of our lives anyway is about creating our identity and showing our identity to the world. The reason I have this clothes on is not just to keep me warm, it's to show my identity. The same goes for many things. My car is not just to take me from point A to point B. Okay, my car is actually only for that. I don't like to buy a better car unless it breaks. But most people is to show their identity. That comes also with the NFTs and the metaverse. In the metaverse, I can buy a house, build a house the way I want it, and many people can also buy the same house. Or if I buy a house in Manhattan, there is a limit to many houses there are in Manhattan, but in the metaverse, there is no limit. I can have the same house as someone else and many houses. And my question here is, do we believe that the metaverse, NFTs in the metaverse will be good for the environment if more people are in the metaverse and use those interactions in the metaverse? I can invite my friends in my meta house, as I call it, and have them there. That's better, I think, for the environment. I want your take on that. And also, what do you think this will impact our society's health, both physical and mental health, if we transform our lives fully digital or mostly digital as the world tries to become now?
Thanks very much. These are challenging questions. Who would like to pick up the question?
May I start from the metaverse? And the future is digital, but we have an obligation of transition because not all group ages are familiar with digital. I saw that and really, how to say that, touched me that moment. It was in the airport 3 months ago. An elder couple were trying to fly back to Athens and nobody told them about PLF. PLF back in the days, in Greek PLF, if you didn't do it the day before, you cannot have PLF, you cannot travel. So they forced the couple, the elder couple, to go back and stay one more day in Cyprus. So I believe in digital. Digital is the way, but also we need to be transitional. We need to respect all the group ages. For example, you said about the lands, buying digital land. The digital lands is important, but also it's important to have the right tools. For example, I was talking last night with a US team that they're building a system of AI to verify if that part of land, digital art or land, is unique or not. So the more we go into NFTs, the more also it's becoming more mature the tools we're going to use in order to verify those elements to have them unique. If you have them unique, it's also more, there is more value to it. There is also more utility to it. And there is also more usability to it. So when it comes to NFTs, we need to wait also the tools to verify that because it's the watermark back in the days that we were using of the physical world, but it's coming from the internet by the internet. So it's very important to mention that. And I think also,
if I want to add, I agree with you. If I may add something, nowadays NFTs are used as a status, to show status. Imagine that last week I was in Amsterdam, the Blockchain Expo, and among the various presentations, there was one kid, like she was 20 years old, among the other presenters from Coca-Cola, Pfizer, talking about blockchain. And the only thing he spoke for 20 minutes is how he acquired an Ape Yacht Club NFT, and he was just wearing a hoodie with his NFT printed on his hoodie. So this is going to be used as a status. It already is being used because our generation is not, they don't want to wear Rolexes or actually we want to drive Lamborghinis, but about Rolexes, you will want to have an NFT, and already if you scroll in Twitter, you will see many people updating their profile pictures with their valuable NFTs, showcasing their status in this way. So this thing is going fully digital, and we've seen this through Mark Zuckerberg's speech 1 month ago. He was explaining how you will be able to buy products through Facebook and physical as well. So this is going full digital, and NFTs, of course, we're going to find more use cases besides gaming and event ticketing as we progress along the way.
Vasilis, sorry to say that, but I'm a bit offended right now because before Zuckerberg announced the metaverse, I was the first to create the phygital. So the phygital is I have an electric surfboard. I created first as NFT, and then I backed it up with a physical item, exactly the same thing. And now we're going to see it also in a gaming industry. But
so Dimitris was first, sorry. My mistake. Dimitris was first, and then was Mark Zuckerberg. Just a correction.
Thank you. Maria, do you see also something with fashion? You are a fashionable,
yes,
of course?
because he asked about the environment, right?
True, the environmental aspect.
In Western world, that there's we women, myself as well, I buy a lot of clothes and then they're just hanging in the closet, right? And for instance, with Snapchat, when I first saw the avatar, I was so excited. And then I saw that they have limited clothes. I said, oh my God, that's only, you know? And now with the digital fashion, I see many enterprises like Dolce & Gabbana that they build their own marketplace, and where we can buy collection digital and own it and dress our avatars, and so we don't harm the environment with this way, right? And yeah, with the digitally, I hope like we will have more green minting and stuff like that, but in the real world, yes, NFTs are environmentally friendly.
Excellent. Actually, one last question, actually, because we're running out of time in the middle, sir.
Two more questions. I see also a lady, because the NFTs are...
Hi. I'm very strongly against intellectual property. So most of what you said, I'm against. I think property is a right to some scarce resource. So the NFTs that are about real property, like scarce resources, that makes sense. Title to property, a certificate or a university diploma, that's fine. But most of what you're talking about is completely fake. A string of bits, property doesn't make sense for a string of bits. Maybe I'm the Peter Schiff of NFTs.
Just an opinion, that's fine, that's okay.
But it's just silly. Copying is free, and if you want to prosecute people for copying, that's immoral.
May I?
Yeah, of course. Go ahead.
I think.
The lawyer.
No, this is not about the legal stuff here. It's about actually understanding the underlying technology here. And you know what? In all the way along innovation, we had different approaches, and I respect your approach there. This is subjective, in my opinion. It's the way you look at it. I mean, this is a new technology. It's being tested, and as we already discussed, this is not about string and bits. We have actually an underlying asset which is connected through cryptography, as Theodoros explained yesterday, on the blockchain. So we have to understand the full concept of blockchain in order to understand how these underlying assets are moving on the digital world right now. This is another view, and I respect it. I fully respect it.
If I may,
of course.
Do you own any cryptocurrencies? So when I was invested into Bitcoin, it was thin air. The same when they introduced me to NFTs, I had the same approach. I don't understand. I can right-click it, I can save it, anyone can make copies of it. And then I dig into it, and I realized, okay, I can associate a unique ID, as Vasilis said, on the blockchain, on that item. And if there is a popular mandate, if there is a popular demand, that is driving the market price, that is driving the value. And this is what this internet about, is uncharted waters that is driven by the popular mandate. And this is what it's about the NFTs. It's totally new. Of course, we're going to see new tools coming up in order for verifying the copying of the NFTs. Also, the legal framework is going to be important about copying the NFTs, etc., etc. But this is the beginning. So let's see.
I have a slightly different view. I do believe that the world as we move forward is really to serve people. And the world to serve people has to be hybrid. It has physical and both digital. And I do believe definitely in the NFTs, the ones that will be more valuable as we move forward are the ones that have real assets behind it. Now, what are those real assets? Those real assets could be art, they could be painting, they could be real estate, they could be gold, could be diamonds or other valuable assets. In the case of pure digital ones, I have a good friend by the name of Brock Pierce that made kind of a point, and this was almost a few months ago. He took a very valuable painting from Bensky, and he says, oh, you want to see how we make valuable NFTs? We created an NFT, and he burned the original. So that means the only available version now is a digital one. Now, do we going to go and burn the planet so that we get an NFT version of the world? I don't think this is a sustainable way of moving forward. However, I do believe that NFTs as a technology adds extremely value in terms of adding authenticity to things that are part of our world. And I think we just have to find use cases that pretty much help everybody. And now everybody is here comfortable. Some of them want to drive their next Lambo. But we must not forget that the bulk of the people around the world are just looking for very basic necessities, which how to have a shelter, house, how to eat, how to get educated. And that's really what this is all about. Many of you are saying, oh, I want to be the next billionaire. Let me have good news for you. You want to be the next billionaire? Create a solution that helps 1 billion people instead of looking for something else. Now, you're going to say, where are those billion people? All over. There's 1 billion people in Africa. There's 1 billion people in India. There's 1 billion people in China. and there's probably 1 billion people in the rest of the world. So that gives you a little bit of an idea. If you want to create the solutions of tomorrow, look how to help those people. And guess what? The rest will come by itself.
Very good words. Thank you.
We have one more question. There we go.
Hi, my question will be more direct than the previous one. So, my first question is, which platform would you recommend for digital artists? Which digital platform? And if you know about the gas fee percentages of, let's say, OpenSea, and so what's your opinion about airdrops and giveaways for artists? Thank you.
Okay.
Dimitris will answer this.
Yes, Dimitris.
Monopoly here.
Come to VeChain ecosystem. We have very nice marketplaces. We have World of Art. We have VC. And there you can mint your NFT for free. 0 gas fees. Because we are the most cheap blockchain in the world and the greenest. And about airdrops, I will suggest the artists to use different technologies because we are talking about digital art, about using the media. So use Twitter for airdrops, so use Instagram advertisement. The tools are there. So it's a mixture of using different technologies, I will suggest. So you are more than welcome. I can show you how you can mint after this panel discussion. It's very easy. I can do it through the phone. We're going to mint actually a selfie we took earlier before all of you join of the panel. So yeah, you can see how easy it is to mint on VeChain.
A nice bridge to round it off because we're running out of time. But
yeah, I'll make just a very small comment about airdrops. Airdrops have a very valuable tool to build community. So if you already have the community built, airdrops only adds a bit more traction. But if you do not have a community at all, airdrops are probably one of the easiest way to create that community. So you're creating traction and usability of the tokens or the NFTs that you're creating.
Excellent, thank you. You are creating an NFT on the fly with phone, and so the question is, where can we find it?
Well, I'm going to tweet it, so follow me on Twitter. This is how you create community, by the way.
What is your Twitter handle?
My handle, I think, is I am Dimneo, something like that. I'm not sure because I also have my team handling. But you can search me by Dimitris Neocleous on Twitter.
It's gone.
It's gone, yeah. Dimitris Neocleous on Twitter. You can find me out. You can see the NFT. And yeah, anyone who wants to meet an NFT for free, come and find me. I'm available. Yeah.
We can sell it as well for a charitable purpose, if you like. We can sell a floor price, and we can sell it for any charitable purpose.
Yeah, and we can do also on a smart contract for charitable purposes.
So until your keynote, maybe we have a price and we can...
Hopefully we're going to have a price. Let's see.
That's great.
Lady and gents, I would like to thank you. And maybe you can give one last word, last key takeaway for the audience, starting with George.
My takeaway is very simple. NFT is just another tool in the digital transformation evolution. There'll be many others, but it's hot today, so you should learn about it. You should experiment with it and find uses that benefit you and your community.
I'm going to close this conversation with something I've read some years ago from ex-Chancellor of Bank of England, Mervyn King. Societies and economies are failing nowadays because they are failing to understand what is next. They are trying to sustain and persevere the status quo. So what is next, I think, is digital. It's going to cryptocurrency, it's going to blockchain, it's going to AI. So read, as Jorge said, build, because if you build, then you can be the next billionaire that has influence and makes the life better of billions of people. And that is what about the technology.
Thank you.
So if I'm here from the legal perspective, what I have to say is that we need to find the right balance between technologies and regulations in order not to kill and stop any technology from flourishing. And as this has great possibilities, and NFTs, for sure, they're here to stay as blockchain.
Thank you.
For me, it's when, like, in real life, like, I have friends, they ask me, oh, can you teach me about crypto, blah, blah. And most of them, they're artists. And I encourage them learn about NFTs because that's how they can, you know, benefit from it. And I would like more people to get involved so we have more industry adoption.
Thank you very much. Evcharisto. Also, the online audience, if you are still there, also the physical audience here in the room. It's a very good indicator that no one run away for have a drink. But thank you very much for your attention. And Andrew, the floor is yours.
Right.
Thank you very much, of course, the panelists. Give a good round
Right,
of applause.
hold on, guys, because we're not done yet. But yes, give it up for the panelists. NFTs. Scarcity. Scalability. So many complicated words, guys. When I started finance 11 years ago, things were much, much easier. But I have a problem now. I'm starting to understand NFTs. Someone might get a bottle of champagne from me at the end of the day. Now, let's give it up for our panelists. Maria Xenofontos, Jorge Sebastião, Dimitris Neocleous, Vasilis Haralambous, and the one and only Jan Robert Schute. Thank you so much, guys. We're going to have a next panel. We're not going to take a break. We're going to take a break after the next panel, guys, for a couple of minutes. Now, the next panel is a personal favorite of mine, and I believe many people in the audience and watching us online think the same. How many of you think that NFTs are simply JPEGs? Real blockchain use cases and real value with the people's favorite, guys, from what I see. The one and only Dimitris Neocleous, Ecosystem Manager at VeChain Tech.
Andrew, you mentioned earlier about the bottle of champagne. I brought some wine, actually.
You brought wine?
Yeah, I brought wine. I mean, it's time to show real use cases, right? But I want also the control. And actually, I brought also a shoe and a bottle of wine.
All right.
You're going to understand what it's about later on in my speech.
I'm afraid to ask.
And I brought also a gift for a lucky person here sitting us together with us. He's going to win this limited edition mask made out of a vegan designer called Sarah Rigesberger.
All right. By the looks of it, we're going to see some magic happening today, guys.
Yeah.
There's the microphone.
I have that.
You have it.
I have
Sorry.
that one, yeah.
All right. So, the stage is yours.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you again for being here. And today we're going to discuss about real blockchain use cases that bring real value. And before I jump to those real use cases into my company, which is VeChain, let me tell you what is blockchain, even though we discussed that yesterday, but maybe some of you were not here yesterday. So this is coming from a real-life experience of mine. A couple of weeks ago, my mom was explaining to my aunt I'm working for a blockchain company. And my aunt was kind of, what is blockchain? My mom's response was, crypto. So the same applies with a lot of my friends. They know what is Bitcoin. They have invested in Bitcoin, Ethereum, VET token, which is VeChain token, but they don't know the underlying technology behind those cryptocurrencies, which is the blockchain. And what is blockchain? As I explained yesterday, I want to use the example of love, the statement of love between a boy and a girl, using the multiverse and not the metaverse. So in the multiverse, we have three universes. The boy wants to say, I love you to a girl, but he says that all alone by himself. So he can withdraw from that statement. There is no validation of that statement. And this is actually what is happening with the central system. Now, in the other universe, the boy wants to say, I love you to a girl, but using a witness, a friend of him, to back him up. And that's why it's called a central system with a backup. And having that said, he can withdraw from that statement, but he needs to convince also his friend to withdraw from that statement, to lie about him. So this is a central system with a backup. Now, in the third universe of the multiverse, which is the blockchain, the boy says, I love you to a girl, with multiple participants listening to that statement. And at any point that the boy he wants to withdraw from that statement, these multiple participants that maybe they are unknown to each other are going to say, no, you have said that statement. So this is what is blockchain about. It's about the immutability, the integrity, the security, and the verification of the data. Having that said, let me tell you a few words about VeChain. VeChain started back in 2015 by building specific use cases for BMW and Givenchy. From 2017, we're positioning as enablers. What it means enablers, that we are providing the tools, the infrastructures for enterprises, individuals, and of course our strategic partners like PwC, DNV, and Grant Thornton Cyprus to build on top of it. Some of the infrastructure tools that we're providing is the fee delegation. The fee delegation allows you to use the blockchain without touching the crypto. So you can have a seamless experience of a use case on blockchain without touching the crypto. but of course the toolchain. The toolchain is our flagship product that most of our use cases by our strategic partners is built on VeChain. And why it's so important? Because you develop the solution without really developing, without touching the smart contract, without getting familiar with Solidity, with Python, and other languages that are important when it comes to coding. Because it's a drag and drop. And most of our clients and strategic partners are using toolchain. I think we are now in 75 live products on toolchain, covering more than 20 industries. Having made this introduction of about VeChain tech, now let's jump to the real juice of this presentation, which is the real use cases. The first real use case is about Walmart China. For first time in history, a consumer can buy a product from Walmart, can scan the QR code, and can see the whole story of the product, from the supplier, from the logistics, the whole life cycle management, up to the shelf of the supermarket of Walmart. At the same time, though, Walmart has built a B2B solution on top of this solution, which means that it's monitoring live the suppliers for the quality that of the products that they're providing to the supermarkets. And now, let's jump to the wine. I will ask everybody if they want to scan it. Someone from the audience wants to scan this bottle of wine. I will leave it here for you. Because for first time in history, a bottle of wine is more than just a bottle of wine. It's a use case built by DNV, My Story. Because when you scan the QR code on the back of the bottle of wine, you can see the whole story of the wine, from its genesis part, which is from the vineyard, up to the bottling and distribution. And what it makes it even more important, please, share it around, grab it up. So what is important about this is the information, before it reaches on the blockchain, it has been audited by a third-party assurance company, which is DNV. DNV are experts in certification and assurance for more than 150 years. So if we consider blockchain as the single source of truth, the immutable source of truth, imagine that the information reaching the blockchain, it is being first audited and then uploaded on the blockchain. That makes it even more transparent and increase the trust between the brand and the consumer. And My Story has been expanded also to olive oil in Italy, tomato, and of course, My Story H&M, about sustainability. H&M in China is supporting a lot of sustainability products. And one of the products they wanted to create was using waste of cutting clothes in order to create new garments. So when a consumer buys this new garment, he can scan the QR code of the My Story and can see all the information from the reuse of those clothes, and the production, and of course the auditing part taken care by DNV. And since we are talking about DNV, let's talk about My Care. Nowadays, we're requesting people to show us their safe pass, their vaccination passport in order to enter into a premise. But what about those premises? How secure is? What are the steps that they took in order to mitigate the risk of infection? The My Care is about this use case. It's been used in restaurants, hotels, different premises and business in order those businesses to show their readiness in the prevention of infection. DNV is then audited them on the premise and giving them a digital badge. This digital badge is, of course, immutable. So the consumer, the client, can enter the building, can scan it, and feel more secure that the business has taken all the reasonable steps to mitigate the risk of infection. And since we're talking about COVID, how much you like fake certificates? Well, this case has been built along with DNV and the Cyprus startup in San Marino. And we have offered it also to Cyprus, but I guess Cyprus preferred a more centralized, a COF-scan solution. We had that ready on 6th of May 2020. And we gave that to San Marino. We built it in San Marino. It's about fake certificates. It's the first COVID vaccination passport that is using the blockchain, public blockchain, is GDPR compliant, and it comes with NFT. It's about owning your medical records, owning your COVID certificate, vaccination certificate, or recovery certificate, or test certificate. And you can enter into the country or into business with a different business logics. So this is about the COVID vaccination. And why blockchain? Because it's the immutable. You don't need a centralized app to scan this QR code because it's on the blockchain. You can trust it because it's on the blockchain. And of course, it has the stamp of DNV, a third-party auditing service. And let's think about more about health, yeah? The EH cert that I discussed also earlier today, but also yesterday, it has been built for the Mediterranean Hospital of Cyprus and Areteo Hospital in Cyprus again. And it's about patients owning their medical records. In GHS, a doctor, knowing my date of birth, my personal ID, can enter my medical record without notifying me, without requesting access. With this application, the two hospitals, they wanted to increase the trust and transparency between the medical practitioners and their patients. So a doctor can request a medical record to be accessed by the patient, and the patient can give that information based on his discretion, full medical record or partial medical record. And this relationship of requesting and accepting or declining is then underpinned with NFT. So we are hearing about NFTs. Here is a business industrial use about NFTs and how it's evolving. And of course, it's a beautiful application. I mean, I want to say that. I mean, we use some developers from Facebook and Instagram, designers, to have this application. It's not just a powerful application, it is a beautiful application that gives the portability to have access to your medical record anywhere, anytime, and a better understanding about your well-being. And now, let's go back to NFTs. You have seen the NFTs in the digital art. You have seen the NFTs in the into the industrial use case of COVID vaccinations. But what about digitals? I was hearing earlier today that the next trend is the gamify. But what about digitals? What about the brands to be more engaging with their customers through NFTs, attaching the NFT, the digital version of the physical item on the blockchain? So, for example, you can pre-order the NFT of the garment you want to buy, and then until it reaches, you can see it online. You can dress an avatar, and when it reaches you, you can then scan this garment, and you can see the whole story of this garment that is on the blockchain. This is called the digital. And this is my board, actually. This is how I got injured, because everybody asking me, why are you using sticks? I was doing surfing, guys. Sorry about that. If you scan the QR code, I can give you also my presentation. You can see also the product storytelling. And it's actually, what is this about this shoe? This shoe has embedded inside an NFC chip. So when you scan it, you can see the whole story about this shoe. And actually, yesterday, we saw Adidas doing an NFT on Coinbase. This is actually an Adidas customized shoe by Sabotage that has an NFC chip inside. You scan it, and you see the product storytelling. Having that said, Toolchain is a very powerful tool we're providing to individuals, enterprises, and community developers in order to build their use cases. We're covering, as I said, more than 20 industries. We have more than 75 live use cases right now using the Toolchain. I would like to thank everyone that came today and yesterday, FinExpo, for inviting me to be a panelist and a speaker. And here I am for questions if you have any. Thank you.
Dimitris Neocleous, everyone. Questions for Dimitris? There we go. I know where I'm going, don't worry. There we go.
I want to ask about the different use case of the blockchain, your opinion about the different use case of the blockchain. It has to do about governance, about democracy, kind of in a way. I've read that it can be used as a voting system, also blockchain. How about the idea of true democracy through blockchain? What I mean, true democracy. Now we are actually voting for someone or some people to make the decisions for us. We don't really take part in the important decision-making that we must follow as citizens of a country. And through blockchain, I know we can have a specific private key. We can access the blockchain through the key and have our vote instantly. Do you believe that this will be viable, this will be good for the society? I, for example, believe it might be good, actually, to have true democracy for a change, where the community actually makes decisions about their lives, not voting for someone to make their decisions for them.
Well, the more we are moving into the digital verse, into the metaverse, I think the more we're going to see these decentralized autonomous organizations, the DAOs. But right now, we're not in that stage yet. The tools are there. I think everybody knows that VeChain is a fork of Ethereum, but even better, yeah? Because we don't have the scalability problems, we don't have the increased gas prices, we have the block finality. So I think we're going to go there eventually. I mean, we are the young generation, and the younger generation than us are going to be the future that are going to drive this momentum of DAOs.
Right. Any more questions, people? No. Again?
There is one there.
There's one. Where is it? There. Thank you.
Yeah, so you were talking about storing things on blockchain, like your medical information to be accessed by your doctor or something like that. But isn't the information on blockchain usually public? So is there a way to encrypt it or make sure that not everyone can access your private information on a blockchain?
The way we use the medical data, of course, the medical data is the holy grail under GDPR, is high sensitivity data. So how we do it in VeChain along with Idante, we use zero knowledge proof. I cannot say more how we do it in order to, because it's part of our IP, but part of it is zero knowledge proof, and this is how we secure that it's even more secure. Because right now, the medical data and the GHS, they are not using blockchain. They're using centralized systems so that anybody can access it. So we took another step. We actually modernized the healthcare system in Cyprus by having the two biggest hospitals of Cyprus on blockchain.
Okay, thank you.
Very nicely said. Right, one more question at the back. Okay, I'm coming.
You have a lady there, but closer to you.
Closer to me. Oh, there we go.
And then we'll go to the other question.
Yes, hi. I just wanted to add on the previous comment that, let's say, giving this tool of blockchain to the government, having, let's say, not only the safe pass, yes, the safe pass also, you have given them this, let's say, amazing tool to control everyone. There's a thin line between it's a sensitive matter, actually, if you understand what I'm taking. It's very sensitive, our medical records. So where does this line stop between privacy and using it for more efficiency?
Okay, the safe pass is not using blockchain. The safe pass actually is the one that can take advantage of your privacy. We gave the government a tool that is decentralized, that is audited by a third party, and they rejected it. And another government, the San Marino government, took it because they understood the value proposition. And not just San Marino, we are also proposing to UN because they understood that the owner of the medical record is the citizen. And with this tool, the citizen has absolute control of who is viewing their medical record and with who he's sharing it. Unfortunately, government prefer a centralized system.
All right, we have one more question at the back. There we go.
Yes, hello. I'm really excited about these new technologies and blockchain and NFTs, but trying to understand what exactly is the extra value that's being added to the different use cases that I'm hearing. And it looks like most of the use cases that are mentioned are being used, are being addressed with this technology, could be also addressed with a centralized system. For example, if you trust GHS with your privacy, then they could create a system that would require your permission to release your medical record, or you could enter a chip into a shoe and retrieve the information from a central server. The extra value here derives from the fact that you don't need trust anymore, or the fact that it's more secure and is using blockchain instead of a central system. So are there any use cases that are more using this part of the technology, or that any use cases that you couldn't do using a central system, but you can do using NFTs and blockchain?
Well, a centralized system relies on human aspect. So you modify it, you can change the information, you can even make a backlog. When you are using the blockchain, you mentioned about, let's say about this shoe, yeah? It has an NFC chip inside, near frequency chip. This near frequency chip has a unique ID on the blockchain that you cannot change it. So when you put it inside and you put the information about the shoe and then it is audited by a third party, then you can have more assurance and more trust and transparency about the information about the shoe. With a centralized system, because there is the human aspect there, we can make a backlog or can hack the information or can change the information. The question is, how can I trust a centralized system that is mutable? That is the question, actually. That's why we have blockchain. Blockchain is not panacea. Blockchain, it is a complementary technology to centralized system. I am not a person that believes fully into the blockchain decentralization because we need to go through transition. We need to educate the people. But right now, it's complementary to centralized system to increase their trust between the consumer and the brand, between the consumer and the government, between the citizen and the hospital.
All right. Very, very nicely said. Any other questions, people? Anyone?
Who is going to win the mask? And actually, in the mask, there is an NFC chip inside. You can scan it, and you can find information about the mask. And it's about the vegan designer. Are you familiar with vegan designing?
No, I like meat.
Okay, don't say that to Sarah. Sarah is vegan. She's also a vegan designer. She's using zero cruelty materials towards animal. And yeah, you can find out the information. So I have one mask here. Yeah, the last question wins it. So last question,
Go on.
guys.
Who wants to win a mask? There we go.
I'm going to come up with a difficult question. The question is, was the previous speaker, the Revenue Capital company, if you listen that...
Unfortunately, I wasn't here. I just came.
Okay. Yeah, well, my question was, what kind of maybe partnership with that organization, with that company, you would see as your company would like to have? But yeah, if you haven't heard it.
I wasn't here earlier, so yeah.
No, so the question goes to the previous panelist. Okay, you didn't win the mask?
There
we go. There we go.
Thanks so much for the presentation. Super interesting to learn about the projects that you're working on and the different use cases. I would love to know what you guys did with the LVMH group and what kind of use cases there are in fashion. Thanks.
All right. With the LVMH group, it actually was our first use case. It's a very B2B solution, not a B2B to C. B2B business to business. It's about monitoring their suppliers about their leather products and their leather materials they're supplying Givenchy. So Givenchy is monitoring their suppliers about the quality of the product using the blockchain. And in the fashion industry, you have seen also H&M earlier about the sustainability. I think recently we have announced a new brand joining us. So it's the fashion industry, the possibilities of using the technology are limitless. I mean, you can do NFT. We have seen Dolce & Gabbana doing an NFT. Maria Xenofondos, that she's living now, she's actually launching something on VeChain blockchain about fashion industry and NFTs and NFCs. So, yes. You're going to see a lot of stuff happening in the fashion industry. And I want more women to start in building on the blockchain. It's a man-dominance market. We want more women. So, yeah. I'm glad to see more women joining the sphere of blockchain.
All right, okay. Let's give it up for women joining the blockchain, everyone. I was never against it, just in case. Right, there's the mask. There you go. You won the mask. There you go. Congrats. It's a vegan mask. Okay, so you can eat it if you want. Right, guys. We had an amazing, amazing presentation today. Led by the one and only Dimitris Neocleous, Ecosystem Manager at VeChain Tech.
Thank you very much. You owe me a bottle of champagne. I think I saw.
If you stay here till the end, you might just get it.
Okay.
Can I take the shoe?
No, you cannot take the shoe, but I was thinking about the wine, but later we'll just...
Is it on the blockchain?
It's on the blockchain. You can scan it, and you can see what this is about.
It would be my first thing on the blockchain. Can you imagine? All right. We exchange gifts later on.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Take care.
Right. Let's give him another round of applause, guys. He really deserves it.
Thank you, guys.